Beautiful morning it is, and I guess you can't wait to share your thoughts, especially on the budget and Zimbabwe and the big fight on Twitter between Shatta and Wizkid fans. Here's how to get interactive on Facebook and Twitter. We are Joy News on TV. Now, this show is live on the Joy News channel on Multi TV, DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. Let's start with issues on the budget. Now, this year's was a Sempa budget. Next year's is a Juma budget. According to the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, government hopes to create more jobs this fiscal year. Now, check out the trends on Twitter. So you have Shatta Wale, top trends here in Ghana. We'll be going to that issue shortly. You want to stay. And budget 2018, Finance Minister, GH budget, Zimbabwe, City CBS, planting for food and jobs, Parliament is also trending. And finally, a Juma budget. Now, that's what we want to focus on here today as people are talking about what they make of this year's budget. So, President Akufo-Addo tweets highlights of the 2018 budget statement and economic policy read by the Minister for Finance, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. He hashtags GH Budget 2018. There are some replies to that. And Albert at Albert Kelvin 1 is replying to the president's tweet and says, "Hello, Mr. President. What is the plan for the youth concerning employment? Is it just a pity?" Or he says, "It's just a pity that most graduates will work or do national service in the public sector, and after service, they're not given at least one personnel is not given the opportunity to work in the organization they had their national service in." And there are two likes to that. At Shakmelo on 1 is replying to President Akufo-Addo and says, "These are fine, but they will be useless if not implemented. Implementation is the key." And Nana P says, "Free SHS is a good policy, but try and reduce electricity tariff for us." I don't know if Nana P was listening, because there's something actually in the budget on that, pending approval from the PURC. And Isaac Yeboah says, "Stop bragging, NDC ended Doomso, not MPP." And that's a direct reply to the president's tweet on the budget. And he has two likes there. And okay, someone asking a question there. Collins Glow says, "Don't worry, we Voltarians." Okay, I'm not sure why he's trying to play their regional or tribal or ethnic card there. And he has actually 3 replies to the president. But let's move on. Kobi Wasti says, "Who told you they'll have a permanent job after schools? Please kindly update yourself. And besides, you don't know what they go through when doing clinicals. Did the government establish more government hospitals to work after school?" And okay, it seems to be some agenda on the president's Twitter. Some people talking about saying no to the breakup in the Volta region. I don't know why this is a direct reply to his tweet on the budget. But Love J says, "His Excellency, the people in the community succeeded in making the dump site of Bola so littered again after I used a tractor to plow the land to grow grass. Now that my party is in power, I got another parcel of land behind Zenu." Okay, there's someone trying to, pitch a government contract. It's interesting what happens on the president's Twitter page, isn't it? Isaac Yeboah says, "The NPP won't cease to amaze incompetent NPP party." He says that John Fatau Chambers says, "Just reduce the electricity tariffs, especially the fuel prices, because some of us use V8s." Okay, some replies there to the president's tweet on the budget. He tweeted a couple of infographics there, and that's how some people are choosing to reply to the budget. Now, one interesting revelation from the budget presentation is the creation of a free SHS fund to mobilize voluntary contributions to support the policy. Now, according to the Deputy Information Minister, Kojo Opon Nkrumah, this is an avenue for those who prior to the free SHS were, given scholarships and supporting young or needy but brilliant students. So this is an opportunity for them to bring in the monies that they wouldn't have need to use because it's free now, so that they can support the free senior high school policy. And a lot of you have been sharing your thoughts with us on that on our Facebook page. Let's just pick those comments quickly. And Eric Donko says, Ghanaians should thank JM for not starting free SHS 4 years ago, but started building infrastructure to first, okay, I'm sure you're trying to say lay the foundation before the free SHS started. He says and said it will have been like buying a goat before planning to build a pen. Okay. Halil Maestro says this SHS policy is very good, but my concern has to do with its planning and sustainability. There wasn't any proper planning before its introduction. That's according to Halil. I think we skipped that message. And he's asking if the policy will be retained when there's a change in government. I hope and pray senior high schools in Ghana or senior high school education in Ghana would be free forever. Says Allah help us make Ghana great again. Abdul Isaku says yes indeed, this government is really working. He's asking God to help the government. William Mentawiafi says, so better still encourage those who can pay to pay their awards fees. Better still have a profile of all those who voluntarily want to pay to go ahead and do that, so that we can save some money, and what we save can be equitably utilized. Savannah Prince and Windsor says, this is what happens when you bite what you cannot chew. Must we always promise heaven on earth because we desperately need something, especially power? Kofi Tabega is laughing and says, robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of thing. The MPP say there's money in the country and that our oil money alone can cater for free SHS. If so, why the fundraising? It's not necessarily a fundraising. The defense to this is that there are people, there are organizations who support or hitherto, prior to the free senior high school policy, support needy but brilliant students. Now there's free SHS. They still want to put their money into good use, and the government says, you know what, let's just create the avenue and let's create the opportunity for them. And talking of free SHS, I'm going to take you to our Facebook page because there's something interesting also happening there. Just take a look at this. I'm going to be showing you shortly what it is I'm talking about. So yes, there it is. Take a look at this. So free SHS impacts lives in Asin as hawkers return to classroom. Interesting, isn't it? So we'll pick a few of your comments here on that. Romeo J says, very soon our election will be set that you don't have to go and campaign. The people should feel the impact themselves and decide. Good impact by all standards is my prayer. Okay, he doesn't want the NDC to come back into power. Ideal Milk says, so if hawkers on the streets are able to go back to school, why is it that the free SHS didn't cover the second, third year students as well? I'm not sure what Ideal Milk is trying to say there, but there are 7 replies. Can we see what people are saying or people's response to Ideal Milk's comment? Interesting name, Ideal Milk. Milk. Abdul Basit Atarua says, it will when the current students reach Form 1 and 2. Yeah, okay, all right. A lot of this argument has been coming up. You know, it's been coming up since the free senior high school policy was launched. A lot of people were saying, you promised us free education. You didn't say it was going to be only for first years. But there it is. Hawkers at Asin are going back to school. They're taking advantage of free SHS. We are taking your comments on that. Macmillan Okai Ennis says, this is true. I have a lot of evidence about this news. Even some of the guys on the street at where I work and those at a Shaman Market all had the opportunity to go back to school this year. What I found out is the policy helps the guys. Okay, says free senior high school is good. Let's all support it. All right, there. Enough with budget and free senior high school. Let's head to our in-laws country. Yeah, Zimbabwe. We'll be talking about what's happening in Zimbabwe right after this. Thanks for staying here on Joy News Interactive with me, Benes Abubedu. Let's talk about Zimbabwe and what's happening there. Now, President Robert Mugabe has resisted a mediation by a Catholic priest there, for him to exit. He says he won't, insisting that he's the legitimate leader, in fact, the only legitimate leader of that country. However, he's been put under house arrest by Zimbabwe's military. The military say this is not a coup and the president and his family are safe. Now, let me be honest, I was shocked when I heard all of this, the military, moving into the capital and putting President Mugabe under house arrest. And Mugabe, wow, that was a real shocker for me. But it tells you that really anything can happen. A lot of people have been sharing their thoughts and prayers for the country. This is a tweet from Kingdom Life saying, Lord, pour out your spirit upon Zimbabwe and cover her with your peace. We pray for Zimbabwe. We are hearing news of pockets of violence here and there, but thankfully, we haven't heard of any major news in terms of anyone dying from violence. Hopefully, we won't get to that point. Solomon is replying to that tweet saying, God is in control, and Captain Planet saying, heavy prayer. And a lot of people, Thulani, they're tweeting also. But let's pick a lot more tweets on the situation in Zimbabwe. Now, Al Jazeera News tweets, still no statement from Mugabe as the situation remains tense after a military takeover. What's happening today in Zimbabwe? And that question a lot of us who are not in Zimbabwe are asking, what's happening there? We haven't had anything from President Mugabe, but according to South African President Jacob Zuma, he's spoken to him. They had a phone conversation, and President Mugabe says he's fine together with his family. There are also reports that his wife, Grace Mugabe, has fled to Namibia. A lot of news going on around this. But Julius Selo Malema says someone had to do something. The army should make sure that there's no loss of life. However, anyone seeking to undermine this transition should be dealt with decisively. Finally, free and stable Zimbabwe is coming in our lifetime. And following a lot of the tweets, seems like a lot of Zimbabweans are excited by this. I actually watched an interview where someone was actually thanking God that this had actually happened, and they've been waiting for this for so long. If you're a Zimbabwean watching us and you feel the same, just get onto our Facebook page. You can tweet at us at Joy News on TV. Tell us what's happening in your area and how you feel about all of this. And Firebrand says, historically, military intervention never ends well, but every situation is unique. Are we going to have a different story here? Well, fingers crossed. Hopefully we will. And Jonathan Mayer says, please tell us more. Let's take a few more tweets, and we'll be moving on to a big fight happening on Twitter. And Mufti Ismail says, to my friends and followers who have been asking, Zimbabwe is calm and life goes on for most ordinary citizens. Streets are safe and most children are in school. Well, we continue praying for the Almighty's blessings. Let's just pick a few more. I just want to hear from really ordinary people who have something to say about this. And second president of Zimbabwe, 22nd December 1987 to 15th November 2007. I'm sure this person maybe did the search on the internet, and this is the information they were given. And Trevor says, finally, there's a movement at President Mugabe's Blue Roof residence. Motorcade driven out 10 minutes ago. Wow. And 2 helicopters landed. Negotiations appear to have encountered legal and constitutional hurdles. Hashtag Zimbabwe. And ICGC Worldwide tweets, let the nation of Zimbabwe be lifted on high. Hashtag pray for Zimbabwe. That's a hashtag that's trending. Quite a number of people are, putting up the flags of Zimbabwe on their posts, in their tweets, asking that they should be. Now, this is an interesting tweet from at Austin Bullocks. He says, hashtag Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, 93 years, Grace Mugabe, 52 years. Now, when Mugabe was 41 years, his wife Grace was 1 week old. Interesting. Maybe you're still single because your father-in-law, your mother-in-law have not met yet. It's interesting how people can just find a way to joke about really serious things, because what's happening in Zimbabwe is a big deal for a lot of people who've been crying for independence. Okay, so that's someone dancing to that comment. All right. Steve Wambura is asking, who will live for 93 years in this stressed Africa? Mugabe did because he was assured everything. Okay, now just a few more. Zimbabwe history is about to be made, and that's supposed to be, I'm not sure this photo is real though, but it's a photo of Robert Mugabe running, and it seems to be a soldier chasing him with a cane or a whip, or, well, it says hashtag Zimbabwe history is about to be made. Trust me, if you have time, just get onto Twitter, and Zimbabwe is trending. You see a lot of comments there. In fact, I chanced on a video where Robert Mugabe's son is said to have poured some wine worth $200 on his $400 watch. Yeah. And he commented and said, well, that's the life when your father is the president in it. And a lot of people aren't happy about that. Let's just take this final one and we'll move on to that big fight happening on Twitter. This one says, I've just noticed the recent developments in Africa. MU has a case to answer. Okay, so Mubarak there in Egypt, Muammar Gaddafi there in Libya, and Mugabe, the recent one in Zimbabwe. All right, so let me tell you about that big fight. That is, if you do not know, because that's trending, and I know a lot of you are aware. So it's reported that self-acclaimed dancehall king, Shatta Wale, spoke on a Ghanaian-based radio station saying that he doesn't see Wizkid to be a superstar, really. There's just so much buzz, but really Wizkid, there's nothing. I mean, what's all the fuss about? And Wizkid fans didn't take that easy at all. They actually went onto Twitter, and trust me, if I were Shatta Wale, I won't visit Twitter today, because this has extended, it's gone beyond Shatta and Wizkid. Now, a lot of Nigerians are directly attacking Ghanaians, our president, our economy. Guys, easy. I mean, this is between Shatta Wale and Wizkid. If you're a Wizkid fan, just keep it in that zone. Why, include all Ghanaians? Anyway, let's just see what people are saying on Twitter. Kimli Kessa says, good morning, Shatta Wale G8. Today is another day, and I still stand by you. Wizkid is not a superstar or Tom. He can be a superstar in his wallet. Shatta Wale is taking over Africa. Watch out. All right, so I'm sure you are a real Shatta fan there. And the interesting thing is, well, apparently Shatta calls out to Samini for some kind of support, but Samini also thinks that no. I mean, Shatta, you got it wrong this time. Wizkid is a superstar. Interesting. This one is from at Amwa POGH, says Ghana, Shatta Wale should be beefing Patapa and the rest. Wizkid is not his classmate. Woo. And I don't subscribe to that support your own nonsense. Thank you. Well, interesting. Sylvester Chisel says, coming from someone who just typed sense instead of sense. Someone checking someone's grammar over there. And Edward II says, my guy, you must be asleep. If you won't support your own, will you keep quiet? And this one says, the fact that you have to support your own doesn't mean you should always support nonsense. Shatta should stop that and concentrate on his music. Let's see some other tweets quickly, and we'll be wrapping up the show. So Hits 103.9 tweet something there. There's an interesting tweet I saw where someone said, retweet if you are for Wizkid. Oh, no, retweet if you are for Shatta Wale, and like or love if you are for Wizkid. And Wizkid had over 1,000 and Shatta was in the hundreds. This one says that Shatta Wale to start a beef with Wizkid yesterday and Dami Crane taking side. That's not the issue I'm talking about. The issue is, Dami, you're gradually becoming like Idris and Co, who just go about attacking others. Go to the studio, do good songs, fix up your career. Interesting. Let's see a few more, and we'll be wrapping up here on Joy News Interactive. This says, a lot of Niger tweets claim they don't know Shatta Wale, but he won Best African Artist at your own Nigerian Entertainment Awards back-to-back, 2014 and 2015. Best Performer of the Year from the same awards. Check the statistics. Ooh, wow. Okay, someone says, well, this is Ude Okoro. I'm sure he's Nigerian. Says, I never knew that guy until today. Maybe their words were given low-key or something. And this one says, doesn't matter. Maybe he bought it because I've never heard of him or heard anyone speak of him. The Nigerians are replying. This one is from King Magic, who has his Nigerian flag just by his name there. Says, so if they ask artists to bring awards and join line to collect money, he will bring that one out too. By the way, I don't remember him winning anything. Interesting. And Zubi Stitcher said, award was most likely organized by Ghanaians in Nigeria. That's why we don't know about it. Hashtag irrelevant. So, well, that will be it for today's edition of Joy News Interactive. Many thanks for your company here. I'm Bernice Abube.